You can give her the world, and she'll still leave you. That's the painful truth. Have you ever caught yourself thinking about that? You did everything right. Gifts, texts, support, full availability. And yet, she walked away. Deep down, you know it's not a lack of effort. It's something deeper, something you haven't understood yet. First things first, let me make this clear. This video isn't about pessimism or red pill or MGTOW. None of that. This isn't an invitation to hate women or to give up on them. Quite the opposite. It's a call to understand what's really happening beneath the surface. Because once you truly see feminine nature, you stop losing yourself trying to control it. And here's where the revelation comes in. There's a dark truth behind human desire, something Carl Jung described as projection. Many times, she doesn't love you. She loves the unconscious image she created in her own mind. That's why effort doesn't create desire. What really matters isn't how much you give, but the emotional impact you spark. And here's the liberating part. Once you understand this, you stop wasting your energy trying to hold on to someone. Your sexual energy stops being used as a bargaining chip and turns into fuel for creation, purpose, clarity. You realize that real power doesn't come from pleasing. It comes from channeling who you truly are. You've probably felt it on your own skin. Effort doesn't create desire. The more you bend over backwards, the more the other person seems to pull away. You bring flowers, run errands, send sweet messages every single day, and in the end, all you get is coldness. That's because too much giving doesn't spark attraction. It creates weight. You don't come off as magnetic, but predictable, maybe even exhausting. And predictable is never memorable. Think about it. Haven't you noticed that the things you got too easily in life usually didn't hold the same value as the ones you fought for? The human heart works like that. When you hand everything on a silver platter, you don't light up the fire of interest. You trigger the comfort of routine. Sure, she might enjoy the convenience, but it's hard to crave what doesn't challenge or surprise. Desire is born out of mystery, not from the certainty you'll always be there. Carl Jung nailed this idea. Many times she doesn't actually love you, but the ghost she created in her own mind, which means that no matter how much you give, she may not even be seeing who you truly are. Ever thought that maybe you're competing with a made-up version of yourself? It's like trying to win a game where you never even knew the rules. And in the end, frustration's inevitable because you're pouring yourself out for an image that doesn't even exist. Now picture this. You spend hours planning the perfect dinner, drop money, energy, and expectations into it. Then the night comes, and she's checked out, scrolling on her phone, barely noticing your effort. That's not just pure ingratitude, it's disconnection. Because she's not relating to you, but to whatever projection she built. And the more you try to fit into that mold, the further you drift from your own truth. Deep down, you end up invisible even while sitting right there in front of her. The antidote? Taking your energy back. That means stop trying to be who you're not and lean into your authenticity. Instead of being constantly available, show that your life is happening. Hit the gym, pick up a new skill, invest in yourself. Want something concrete? Grab a book like Man and His Symbols by Jung and start digging into your own depths. When you do that, your posture shifts. It's not about her valuing you more. It's about you radiating value from within. And once you get that, you start to see what real connection feels like. The kind that shows up when you're not desperate to please but grounded in who you are. But here's the kicker, this is just step one. The next level is understanding why your energy, if misdirected, can turn into your biggest enemy. And that's exactly where the magic or the disaster begins. Now pay close attention because I'm about to show you something almost no man understands. There are 7 reasons why a woman leaves a man, and every single one of them is rooted in what Carl Jung already explained. These 7 reasons have nothing to do with lack of effort, gifts, or dedication. They're all about how you impact her emotionally. If you don't get this, you end up being the replaceable guy, the one who gives everything but is never remembered. The core of the problem is simple, but hard to swallow. Most of the time, she doesn't love the real man. She loves the ghost she created in her own mind. Jung called this projection animus, an unconscious force shaping the way she sees you. And here's the danger: you might be fighting for acceptance on a stage where the main character isn't you at all, but the illusion she invented. That's why it doesn't matter how much you do. If emotional impact doesn't happen, she disconnects. Routine and predictability choke desire, while tension, emotion, and mystery keep the bond alive. Think about it. How many times have you given your all, only to notice her attention drifting away? That's because you weren't engaging her desire, you were interacting with the projection. The key point is this: emotion beats logic. You can be the most coherent, the most available, the most right. But if you don't move her emotionally, you turn invisible. The animus inside her is always searching for impact, for the spark, for the challenge. And when you don't embody that, her mind just switches channels. It's tough to hear, but it's in that silence that most men get lost. Take a practical example. You buy an expensive gift, but her reaction is flat. Another time, you crack a playful joke out of nowhere, and her laughter echoes for days. Which one sticks in her memory? The second, of course, because it touched her emotions, not her routine. That's the proof. It's not about the number of gestures, but the emotional intensity behind them. And that's why, in the next points, I'll break down clearly what those 7 reasons are that make a woman walk away from a man, and how each one ties back to this invisible foundation, the projection living in her mind. Understanding this isn't about manipulation. It's about stepping off someone else's stage and reclaiming your own strength. The first reason is probably the hardest one to swallow. Effort doesn't create desire. You can spend nights planning surprises, drop money on gifts, be available 24/7, and still watch her drift away. That happens because too much giving doesn't spark attraction. It creates saturation. When you try to win her through the sheer volume of effort, what you actually communicate is neediness. And neediness doesn't awaken desire. It triggers escape. Think about how it works for you. When something comes way too easy, you don't value it for long. Same goes for her. When everything's guaranteed, when you never say no, when you're always hanging around waiting for attention, your presence loses its worth. A woman doesn't connect to the man who reshapes himself just to please her, but to the man who stands firm in his essence. And it's that very solidity she respects. The second reason is the key that ties everything together. She's chasing emotional impact, not just presence. You can show up every day, same time, same conversations, but if you don't stir her emotions, you're just another part of the routine. And routine doesn't hold anyone. Predictability kills desire. What keeps the spark alive is the sense that something might surprise her, that there's a mystery she hasn't unraveled yet, that with you it's never all the same. Want a practical example? 2 men send texts. The first one, every day at 7 a.m., "Good morning, beautiful." The second, once in a while, send something unexpected. "I just walked past the street of our first date and remembered your laugh." Which one do you think moves her more? The second, of course, because it's not predictable consistency that hooks her. It's the renewed emotion that creates impact. This is exactly what Jung pointed to with anima and animus. Unconscious forces always seeking movement, not stagnation. A woman often isn't reacting to what you do, but to what you awaken inside her. And if all you radiate is predictability, she disconnects. Desire doesn't live in routine. It lives in the emotional impact that challenges and excites. These are just the first 2 reasons, but they already reveal the heart of the problem. Empty effort and predictable routine are the perfect recipe to lose space in her unconscious. And there are still 5 more reasons, just as destructive, that explain why so many women walk away from men who do everything right. In the next topics, you'll see how each one works almost invisibly until it's too late. The third reason is one of the cruelest. The nice guy isn't the choice, he's the backup. You've probably seen it happen. He's attentive, always available, listens to everything, supports her in every moment, and yet he's never the man she actually chooses. At best, he becomes a friend, a confidant, the guy she runs to when her real interest isn't giving her attention. The nice guy feels safe, but that very safety makes him forgettable. Kindness, when it isn't paired with firmness and boundaries, loses its value. This isn't about being harsh or cold, but about showing you've got a backbone, that you know your limits and what you won't accept. Attraction is born from respect, not submission. And a woman respects the man who knows how to govern himself, not the one who scrambles to put out every spark of conflict. The nice guy chases peace at any cost and pays dearly with his own invisibility. The fourth reason closes this pair with an even more common mistake. Chasing validation weakens you. The man who lives off compliments, likes, quick replies, or any little sign of approval broadcasts insecurity. And insecurity doesn't draw someone closer, it pushes them away. She might play along at first, but over time she realizes, if I don't praise him, he falls apart. And that weight is unbearable. Think of a simple example. A guy sends a text, and if she doesn't reply within minutes, he fires off, "You're not going to talk to me?" Another posts a photo and begs for attention in the comments. That kind of behavior screams dependency. And dependency kills magnetism because it shows your energy doesn't come from within, but from someone else's approval. A man who needs constant reminders never really stays in her mind. Carl Jung said the feminine unconscious connects to the archetype of strength and clarity. When you act like you need applause just to exist, you shatter that image. Attraction fades because she doesn't see leadership. She sees neediness. And a woman may feel pity, but she'll never feel desire. Respect vanishes the moment you show yourself as a slave to validation. Now you've seen 4 reasons that explain why so many women walk away even from men who seem good. But there are still 3 more, just as deadly, that complete the picture of abandonment. And in the next step, we'll dive into them with even more depth. You may even realize you've fallen into some of them without noticing. The 5th reason tears down a common myth. Mystery beats consistency. You've probably heard that the secret is being consistent. Always present, predictable, reliable. That might create comfort, but comfort isn't the same as attraction. A woman needs curiosity, that little spark in her stomach that comes from not knowing exactly what's next. Mystery is the fuel of desire. Being predictable is like watching the same movie every day. At first it may feel safe, but soon it becomes boring. Mystery, on the other hand, creates healthy tension, keeps her mind engaged, and makes every encounter feel fresh. It doesn't mean disappearing or playing games. It means adding layers. An unexpected opinion, a surprising action, an energy that breaks from the obvious. That's how you stay interesting. The 6th reason is just as crucial. She wants to be challenged, not idolized. Many men think treating her like a goddess, putting her on a pedestal, is proof of love. But in reality, that kills polarity. A woman doesn't want unlimited worship. She wants to feel she's with someone who can say no, who isn't afraid to disagree, who holds firm even in the face of her charm. Picture this. She throws out an opinion just to test your reaction. The insecure man agrees with everything just to please her. The solid man listens, thinks it through, and responds with his own view, even if it's different. Which one do you think she respects? The second, because healthy challenge sustains attraction. Idolization, on the other hand, kills tension, and without tension, there's no desire. The 7th and final reason closes the circle. If she doesn't have to win you over, she won't value you. What's handed over on a silver platter carries no weight. When a man gives endlessly without asking for reciprocity, without showing he also needs to be chosen, he becomes default. And what's default isn't special. Women value what they've invested energy in, what they had to earn and work to keep. These last 3 reasons, added to the first 4, form the complete map of why so many women walk away from men who seem good. Jung already warned, it's not effort that keeps desire alive. It's emotional impact and the invisible game of the unconscious. Now that you know all 7, the big question is, how do you flip this around and become the man who not only attracts but also sustains respect and desire? Now that you've seen Jung's 7 reasons why so many women walk away from seemingly good men, it's time for the turning point. What once looked like a sentence is actually an invitation. Because if there are patterns that destroy, there are also principles that build. And here's the good news. The change doesn't start with her. It starts with you. When you adjust on the inside, attraction stops being random and starts being a natural consequence. The first step on this healing path is letting go of the illusion of total surrender. When you stop measuring your worth by how much you give and start investing in who you are, your energy shifts. A woman doesn't connect to the man who's constantly trying to prove something with every gesture, but to the man who moves with clarity and purpose. That firmness is magnetic. You stop chasing and start attracting naturally. The second step is reclaiming emotional impact. That means leaving predictability behind and stepping into the territory of living presence. It's not about playing games. It's about being fully there in every moment, creating intense memories, speaking truthfully, feeling deeply. The man who knows how to stir emotion without fearing loss is the man who'll always be remembered. Routine may be comfortable, but it's emotion that keeps desire alive. And here come 2 extra points, not from Jung, but from lived experience and real observation. The 8th point, being needed isn't the same as being desired. If she only remembers you when she's in crisis, that's not love, it's dependency. True connection isn't born from utility but from wanting. You need to be cherished for who you are, not just tolerated for what you solve. The 9th point closes the cycle. The less you react, the more she feels. The man who panics, replies too fast, and tries to prove his worth every second gives his energy away on a silver platter. But the man who controls his calm, who breathes before acting, who doesn't rush to seek validation, he commands respect. That quiet pause creates tension because it shows you're not driven by fear, but by emotional control. That's the key to transformation. Stepping out of the role of background character in her projection and becoming the lead in your own life. When you reclaim presence, firmness, and emotional impact, you not only avoid being discarded, you awaken real respect and genuine desire. The next step is learning how to apply these principles day by day, and that's where you'll realize the true healing isn't about changing her, but about changing yourself. At the end of the day, you realize that being the nice guy or just being useful was never enough. It might create comfort, but not desire. It might keep someone around for a while, but not respect. A man's true value isn't in pleasing. It's in inspiring trust and presence. What keeps attraction alive are clear pillars, firm boundaries, mystery that sparks curiosity, and self-sufficiency that radiates strength. That's the space where respect is born. And that's the space where she sees you not as a backup, but as a choice. And here's the key. Your sexual energy can be wasted, thrown away chasing approval, or it can be used as fuel for something much greater. To create, to build, to reinvent yourself. That's the turning point, leaving behind the need for validation and stepping into the field of creation. In the end, the decision is always yours. Spend your energy chasing someone who'll never see your value, or channel that same energy into becoming the man you were always meant to be. If this message hit home for you, go ahead and smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on the bell. And I want to hear from you. Where are you watching from? Have you ever been in that situation, doing everything right, and still being left? Share your story in the comments. Your words might help another man going through the exact same thing right now. And don't leave yet, because in the next video, I'm going to reveal the invisible root behind female attraction. It's something very few people understand, but once you see it, it completely changes the way you look at relationships.